And we are on. Welcome, everyone. This is the first episode of Gnosis. Honestly, this is a big relief for us. Gnosis, just the idea of a podcast has really been going around in our heads for almost 2 years now. So to finally be able to get out there, put it out, get it done, this is really a big moment for us because we're finally able to show everyone like what our goal is here. I should start off by saying, Gnosis is just the podcast associated with the Instagram account Herbal Necessities 00. It's like a health blog account. We do sell some herbal stuff there, but you can look at it like that is our company business, but our podcast is Gnosis. So that's how I want you guys to look at it. We will be working on like a little link tree so you can kind of click the link in our bio and you'll be able to see, our YouTube studies, articles, all types of cool stuff to kind of engage with us the way that we want you to. So expect that probably tomorrow, July 17th, when this drops. Not only that, but I also want to address that you'll be able to be consistent with our podcast because we are planning a set date. Now, it is probably not going to be Sunday. It might be, but we're going to take a poll. Do you guys think we should drop every Sunday? Do you guys think we should drop every Friday? Whatever day, we're going to totally take a poll. We're going to 100% listen to what you guys say because you guys are the ones that are going to be listening. So we're going to do it democratic style. The most votes, majority vote wins. If everyone's saying Friday, we'll do Friday. If everyone's saying Wednesday, we'll do Wednesday. So that is really the plan for how we're going to go about scheduling it. The last 2 months have really, they have been about ideas on scheduling, but we've more so focused on how we're making this perfect. Being beginners, podcasting is not as easy as it seems, especially getting a natural conversation going with guests. That's going to be a hard one. So once we get our guest here, hopefully we can master that almost perfectly. But I think the other thing too is like the background noise, something we're trying to control as much as possible. We do have a mini fridge here where we record, so we don't want to take it out because it's pretty cool, but it does make a little bit of noise, so excuse us on that. And there's some other uncontrollable background noises, so bear with us on that. But yeah, other than that, we're really getting into like higher qualities, and that's really what that 2 month time frame consisted of. It consisted of us figuring out the best way to record this, the cleanest way, figuring out how are we going to do, I guess, quote unquote, remote podcasts, I guess. We don't really want to call them interviews, but, as far as getting a guest that's overseas or that's far away, we already have that planned out now. So expect us to move forward once we get this thing going. And really, it's going to be awesome. So we're going to thank you in advance for sharing this because I think we can really grow quickly. And, the quicker we grow, the more likely people are going to want to come on and spend about 45 minutes of their life talking to us. So, it's a win-win because the more you guys support us, we grow. But at the same time, the more we grow, we can bring better guests on. So that's the beauty of this. Now, this one will not be 30, or this one will probably be about 30 minutes long, but not 45 minutes long. All the other ones will be at least 45 minutes long. And maybe as we get better, we can extend into potentially an hour. I don't know. It's going to take some time for us to get to that level to where we can do an hour because sometimes the guest, I can already see it, will probably not be as into this conversation. There's a lot of people who they prefer like the interview style. So we really trying to avoid that, but if we can't, we may have to go that direction to keep it alive, but it's really just going to matter on the flow of everything. We're trying to do it as naturally, not really cutting anything out. We're going to apply one little filter to try to clean up some of the background noise. But other than that, we're not cutting, chopping. We're not doing anything like that. So expect this to be a pretty raw, natural, clean sounding other than the background noise. That's very hard to control. Other than that, though, it'll be a clean podcast right here, high quality, no edits. So a very real experience, hopefully. And, without further ado, I think we should kind of get into why Gnosis. Why is it called Gnosis? Because I'm sure people are probably thinking, does this have anything to do with Gnosticism? And it doesn't. However, the word Gnosis means knowledge in Greek. And that root, I guess, definition of that word, because of it, that's where Gnosticism comes from, like the wording and all that. So Gnosis definitely is a deep word. It's got a good meaning to it. And it's to some extent, it's because it is the basis for how they label a religion. It's a powerful word, and it kind of just showcases how important knowledge is on just the level of it being a word historically. but also it makes it clear cut what we're trying to do here. And really what we're trying to do is bring forth knowledge in an unfiltered way where people can really express how they feel, because you go on Twitter, people only have a certain amount of characters and that's it. You only get that small amount of space to express how you feel, and that's it. And people get very, it's weird because if you make it longer than that and you start doing threads, people kind of look at you weird. But then you can kind of dodge being labeled, because now people can understand why you mean what you mean. But then if, like I said, people look at you weird, so if you don't do it, now you just have whatever amount of characters they allow on there, 100 and whatever. Now you're basically labeled by whatever you put there in a small amount of words. So it's very unfortunate, it's very toxic, and the art of conversation has kind of died because we're really not social at all in public, in person anymore. I think social media has made us more social on the internet. People are very bold now, but in real life, I just don't see it. I think it's actually making things worse, and that's why people are so aggressive with each other. But here we're trying to change that. We're gonna allow people to come on here in a setting that's less of like a interview environment and more of like a conversational environment where we can just talk, and we get into topics. And if someone says something I don't really agree with, I'll have to question why. Why do you think that? But even if I do agree with them on it, I do want to still press why do they think that, because that's really the goal here, is that we want to showcase how your reality is sort of understood in your brain by how you understand things to be. Like your own truths make up your reality. So if you've been through different traumas, if different things have affected you in life, you're going to view things a little differently than someone who maybe grew up rich. And maybe someone who grew up rich and had traumas may actually experience life in a certain way that's similar to other people who are poor. But the point is, there's always going to be certain things that change why you see something as something. And these different perspectives of life do come out in how you think. And I think people forget that. Just because someone thinks a certain way does not mean you have to label them as this, that, or the other thing. It just means that their life experience has caused them to view life in this particular way. And I think a really good example is people with traumas. I think you can kind of understand why someone might totally be on this side of a conversation, and it'll be 100% because of their trauma. So that's an important thing to understand, is that you shouldn't be too married to your beliefs, because they're only true to you. They're not going to be true to everyone else. And you might find like-minded people, but experiences matter and they make up everything. So you really can't blame people for believing what they believe. I mean, at least to like some extent. So that is hopefully something we can really showcase here. And, thankfully we do have some people on Herbal Necessities who are active, who are engaging with us. And as a result, we have people we can reach out to get on this podcast already. And one of those people more than likely is going to be this musician that we have that supported us. And I think it's a really cool opportunity, because musicians are not only artists, but they're entrepreneurs. So getting a mind like that on will be awesome, especially for one of the earlier episodes. We can get a guest like immediately secured now. So more than likely he will be on, if not next week, the week after. So that's just one thing set in stone. But another thing too, we plan on doing a health segment, probably called Health Talk or something. So with that segment, we really want to do it last. We want to do it at the end of the month. It will probably extend into July or into August. And we want to do it on the 4th week, right? So every 4 weeks, that's kind of the cycle. We don't want to sort of do like Health Talk too much back to back. So I guess on the 4th week, you do a Health Talk. That's sort of our goal here. And hopefully in the next couple weeks from this thing just starting, we're able to maybe get someone that can come on our Health Talk with some sort of a background. Because I think like we're on Quora, and Quora is like this questioning website thing where you can answer questions, and we're really on there as Herbal Necessities to help a lot of people. But another thing that happens is there's engagement with with people you didn't think you'd be talking to. So people with credentials, people with interesting life experiences. There's a guy who's been on keto for years. So we might be able to get some of those people to come on, because Quora I think it's a good networking tool. I think it can be used kind of like LinkedIn. So, the quicker we grow, the more likely they are to come on and join us for a conversation. And I think that that'll really change it up, because if we can get an early health talk going with someone who's done like keto their whole life, I mean, that's pretty interesting, to hear someone's journey on why they do keto and why it's worked for them for so long. Because again, we run Herbal Necessities, so if you pay attention, we're not too fond of keto for too long. I personally wouldn't do it for more than, I would say, max 3 days for me, but I wouldn't really recommend anyone do it for more than a week. So it's crazy, I'm hearing someone did keto, or they are doing keto for like a lot of their life now, like 20 something years. So stuff like that, experiences like that from people with cool, messages, cool stories, all that good stuff. We're going to try to get them on here as quick as possible. That way we can build as quick as possible. And again, like I said, the quicker those numbers go, the more likely we are to get even better guests. And, of course, we're going to reach out to small business owners. We're going to reach out to all types of people. So we're going to do that work on our end. But we definitely need your guys' support to help us grow, as far as, sharing the podcast. It will be on YouTube. It will be eventually on Spotify. So for right now, you can easily share it with everyone on YouTube. And everyone has YouTube. Everyone uses YouTube. So it shouldn't be too hard to subscribe on there and keep in contact with us. Keep updates and all that good stuff. And I think, this podcast will, in a time like right now, it's really endless. We know exactly what we're going to do with the health talk. We don't know who exactly will come on at what given time, but we know exactly what we want to do. But the rest of the month, a podcast every week, that's 3 podcasts every month that have no plan at all, not even a little bit of a plan. And given everything going on, I mean, I could do a whole episode of just me, myself, and I talking about the FDA and the EPA mentioning forever chemicals. I mean, these chemicals are in everything. Your water, they're in the saran wrap, so they're in fruits and any meat that you buy at the store that's in saran wrap. They are, unfortunately, like I said, they're everywhere. They're in the water, in the drinking water sometimes. They're more popular for being in nonstick pans, so you can kind of look at documentaries about that. One of them is called The Devil We Know. So, finally the EPA, FDA is coming out saying, oh, there's no safe level of this chemical. There's no safe levels of forever chemicals. Oh, yeah, it's also in your floss. That's the other thing. So it's everywhere, and that's scary, but I could do a whole episode on that, the whole history of DuPont. And I think I will be doing deep dives. I think that's the best way for me to be, a single recorder on here and still make it interesting, where I can just get on and talk about a specific thing and tell a little bit of a history lesson on it. So, obviously, just in the last week, we've had crazy stuff going on. The month of July has been wild. From CERN turning on, where they're colliding these particles to create energy levels that like are on a cosmic level, so that way they can like look into like what dark matter is and study it. I mean, that's crazy. Then you have all these prime ministers either resigning or dying. Sri Lanka, Japan. Boris Johnson is probably the most popular. I mean, he resigned. It's crazy. There's also the in the Netherlands, the farmers are protesting some bill because they're amid like a food shortage. They're trying to pass some bill that's gonna stunt some. I guess they're not allowed to use these certain fertilizers, which there's an argument for why you should and why you shouldn't be. But I think right now the concern is amid a food shortage and a global crisis, caused by the pandemic and the shutdowns, why are you as a government putting more restrictions on the production of food? And I don't even think that these restrictions were going to be in effect until soon, until later on. But because of how everyone is a little uptight right now with everything going on worldwide with inflation and all that, they did a huge, they're probably still protesting right now, but it was bad because the cops started shooting at the farmers in their tractors. So very unfortunate situation over there. Obviously you have what's going on in Ukraine still relevant. You have our gas prices are just wild, but it's not even just our gas prices. The US has a really big inflation problem right now, as does, again, most of the world. But, our inflation, our inflation's really bad here, I think, because of how much money was printed, considering how much we were already in debt. And, there's just, again, endless conversation to go on right now. Our world's a little crazy right now. And, that alone, just so much stuff to cover there. But then you also have stuff like, the cool fun stuff like aliens. You have the Antarctica, all the all these psychedelics that are starting to become legalized or at least decriminalized. You're gonna start seeing more and more what is it, like psilocybin therapy or whatever they're doing. They're doing like ketamine therapy. All this stuff is, newer. Just so much going on in 2022. Really, it's just, like I said, it's endless. I don't really want to bore you guys anymore. I kind of want to make this pretty short. So yeah, I think Gnosis will be a good thing. It's gonna take some time, and I feel that quickly enough we'll be able to master to some extent. But it is, again, I cannot stress it enough. It's a lot harder than it seems. So we do really, really appreciate any of you guys giving us any feedback, because if there's something that's bothering you, let us know so we can fix it. We're trying to be a little hard on ourselves. That way we can kind of, look into everything very objectively and see exactly what are the things that people like and what are the things that people don't like. So, again, don't hesitate. Let us know. Email us, whatever. We're totally open to that. And make sure, please, share this. I cannot really stress it enough that you share this. That's how we grow the quickest. And, if any of you would like to be on here, again, DM, email, it doesn't matter. We're totally open to bringing guests on that are even just listeners. I think it'll be fun. And you don't have to come in person. Again, we totally can just set up a quick, easy, over the computer type of podcast review, and it'll be totally, it'll be the same quality as this. It'll be totally perfect. I think just on your end, you would have to have a decent microphone, because the computer microphones are really bad. So that's the only thing I would say. If you don't have any other microphone, maybe you shouldn't try to hit us up for that. But we can still test it out, see how it comes out. So yeah, I don't really want to extend this any much longer. So Gnosis, this has been episode 1. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, you can find us on social media at on Instagram, Herbal Necessities 00. So follow us there. Again, that is the Instagram account. We are just the podcast for that Instagram account. So look at it like that. Go share all this with your friends. Check us out on Quora. We're on there. And yeah, thank you guys for being a part of this journey. This is step 1 in a really big, awesome, cool direction. And thank you guys for believing in the plan and believing in what we're trying to do here. So go again, like, subscribe, comment, share. And this has been Gnosis episode 1. Thank you guys. And remember always that knowledge is power. Thank you.